Good evening, everyone. Wish you all of us, a very, very happy Republic Day. गणतंत्र दिवस की बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. So, we are going to continue our discussion on foods to eat few. We were discussing foods to eat few in phase 2 yesterday. So we had discussed wine yesterday, and मैंने जैसा आपको कल कहा था कि we are discussing wine yesterday, but I'm going to discuss beer today. So beer is also a fermented beverage, just like wine. Beer भी fermented होता है, and it is one of the food जो food to eat few के list में है. Again, as a disclaimer, like I said yesterday quite a few times, I'm going to repeat myself as a disclaimer. Just because I'm listing the so-called benefits of fermented beverages, which is wine and beer, in today's session and yesterday, it doesn't mean that people who do not drink alcohol at all, they should start drinking alcohol, basically wine and beer, because beer or wine में polyphenols हैं which exhibit prebiotic benefits, which means कि वो आपके gut में जो microbes हैं उनके लिए food के जैसे it's like food for the microbes, and anything which is food for the microbes is scientifically called prebiotics. So just because wine and beer have polyphenols, they exhibit prebiotic benefits for the gut microbes, and therefore they are better off if you compare them to distilled spirits like whiskey and scotch and all the other distilled spirits, vodka, rum, etc., etc. But having said that, these polyphenolic benefits, these polyphenols or prebiotic benefits, any person who doesn't drink wine or beer is going to get from many other food sources like fruits, vegetables, green, so many other things, that is spices, so many other things that are there in phase 2. So you're not depriving, or you're not being deprived just because you don't have wine or beer. So in any circumstances, do not think that because wine and beer have these benefits, we should start drinking it. That is not the message here. The message is simply that people who generally are alcohol drinkers or who like to drink, then for them we are just trying to figure out a middle way where they do not go around injuring or causing a lot of damage and inflammation to their gut and the gut microbes, and of course to the overall health, physical, mental, and all of those things. That doesn't happen. They still get to enjoy what they drink, like they enjoy alcohol, so they still get to drink alcohol, but in a way that they are still in a safe place. So this is the topic. The topic is not about making teetotalers converted into alcohol drinker. So we discussed wine yesterday, and today we are going to discuss beer, like I said. So why beer firstly? Like I already discussed that when you think of alcohol, do not think of alcohol in terms of calories. Do not think that, oh, vodka is, let me check out what's the calories of vodka, what's the calories of so-and-so drink, what's my breezer calories, or whatever you drink. A lot of people I know who are basically into a diet or just starting a diet or are just conscious about their health, they go to apps to check out what kind of alcohol they can have which are low in calories, and therefore they make that judgment. Also, a lot of people feel ki jo mixer which they put in the alcohol, which is whatever, like some people think, okay, maybe I add soda and that will be low in calories, or should I check out the calories of a Coke or a orange drink, gold spot, I don't know, whatever you call it. So so people check all those mixers, and then they feel that probably that is the good way of having it, or should I just have it with ice and water, and so many things. But what I'm just trying to insist here is that you don't have to check the calories of any alcoholic drink, because calories doesn't matter. What matters is the alcohol content. If the alcohol content is too much, it's going to create a lot of inflammation in the gut, which means that you have to choose an alcohol which is low in alcoholic content, and that we can find out, as I discussed yesterday, through these figures which are called VV or ABV. You will find it in the label of the bottle that you pick up, in the drink that you pick up, that is mentioned always on the label. It's called as VV or ABV. वॉल्यूम बाय वॉल्यूम और अल्कोहल बाय वॉल्यूम, विच मीन्स दैट अगर किसी ड्रिंक का एबीवी या वीवी 50% है, इट मीन्स 100 ml ऑफ दैट ड्रिंक विल हैव 50 ml अल्कोहल. So of course, common sense says that we need to keep our VV and ABV quite low so that we can enjoy the drink but not cause a lot of damage and inflammation to our health, to our body, to our gut. And for beer, the VV ABV is 4 to 7%. This is the range. Of course, it depends on different brands and stuff, but the range is 4 to 7%. If you compare it to a scotch, whiskey, rum, vodka, etc., basically distilled spirits, they are more than 40%. So when you compare them, of course, a beer then stands much better with a ABV or a VV of 4 to 7%. So that is one thing. The second thing is, when I said about polyphenols, right? I said that wine is made out of grapes and grapes have polyphenols, which I discussed yesterday. In the same way, beer has something which is called hops, HOPS. It is something called hops, and these hops are flowers, and these flowers are added to the beer because they impart that bitterness, they impart the taste, they impart aroma, they impart all that characteristic flavor of that beer. Now the interesting part is that these these flowers are actually polyphenolic. These are actually lending that prebiotic benefit to the beer. So again, common sense says that the hoppier the beer is, the better it is for your gut then. Right? So then, cutting down the story short, what is the parameter on which you should choose the brand of the beer? It is simply this, that you pick up a bottle which has an IBU of 50 to 70. Now again, what is IBU? IBU is the full form is International Bitterness Unit. Explained in the book. I will not go into the details, but it generally just gives you an idea of how much hops or how hoppier your beer is. So the IBU, the scale is 0 to 100. You don't have to go beyond 70 because then your beer will be too bitter for you to drink. You don't have to go below 50 as well, because then you won't be getting all that prebiotic benefits which we would want to have it for our gut and for our health. So the IBU is always listed on the bottle. If it's not on the bottle, it will be always listed on the website of the brand that you wish to have. So of course you don't have to go around checking this every day, because you're not even going to drink beer every day. So maybe you can just check this for 2 to 3 brands, and you can just stick to those 2 to 3 brands. But this is important that the IBU is between 50 to 70, and it is also important that you take the beer which has the VV less than 7%. It is important that your beer is low in alcohol, which is generally low in alcohol. As I mentioned, beer range is generally 4 to 7%. But even before picking up the beer, ensure that it is less than 7%. We don't want to go above 7% when it comes to alcoholic content, because then it's too alcoholic for your gut and you're going to get up with that hangover for sure. But then again, all those inflammations where you feel, this beer belly that we keep talking about, this beer belly happens because of 2 reasons. When you pick up a wrong brand, like a wrong beer, basically with too much alcohol content, not hoppy enough, when you drink enough, when you do too much of beer, and when you drink too much at one go. So drinking enough, which is frequency, when your frequency is too much, drinking too much, which is the quantity at one time, and just choosing the wrong kind of beer. So if you choose the right kind, you maintain a decent frequency, and you also know how much you are drinking, then you really will not have this beer belly. Then actually this beer may just benefit you because of all the polyphenols and prebiotics that I mentioned. So we can turn a food into something good for us, or we can turn it into something really bad for us, depending on how we choose it, at what time of the day we are having it, how much are we having it, how often are we having it. So then these narratives that media tells, or people or influencers tell us, this is good, this is bad, this is nice, this is good, this all becomes very, very baseless, because anything is good or anything is bad depending on so many things, right? So we cannot just make these blind statements about any food being good or any food being bad. So that was one thing. Okay, last thing I would want to say is that when it comes to beer, don't go for beers which are light, because there are certain light beers available. Light beers doesn't indicate that the alcohol is low. So to check the alcohol, the only way is checking the VV level, checking the VV value. That is the only way. Don't go by the perception that it's called light beer, इसका मतलब alcohol कम होगा. Nothing like that. Another thing is, don't go with the perceived bitterness. Like when I say that the more the hops, the better it is for you. And hops is basically something that imparts bitterness to the beer. So a lot of clients of mine then come to me and ask me that, oh, that beer was bitter enough, so I thought it must be hoppier. But it isn't like that. So don't go by the perceived bitterness. You got to check the IBU number, which will be on the bottle. If not on the bottle, it will be on the brand's website. But it is mandatory for them to mention that in any platform. So go and check that. We want an IBU which is between 50 to 70. So this is about choosing the right kind of beer. The second, as I said, is about frequency and the quantity. कि कितना लेना है और कितने बार लेना है, because that makes a lot of difference to our health. As I said, it's very very unscientific and very unwise to simply call a food good or bad, because as I said, if you अगर आप पानी भी ज़रूरत से ज़्यादा पिएंगे, even that water can give you bloating. Right? So anything which is going beyond requirement can get toxic in the body. Even love, if you give too much love to your child will also get probably irritated. So too much of anything is bad. So you cannot just go and say that this is good and this is bad. It depends on a lot of things. And one of that, when it comes to beer, is how much you're drinking and how often are you drinking. So as I said, it's all there in the book. If you go to chapter 6, there's a complete table that I've dedicated to beer and wine. So please go and check that out, because it's like a ready guide for people to just go visit, check and everything. But here what I'm trying to mention is 1-2 pints once a week. That is it. You should not be going beyond that. Once a week is something that you have to stick to. Don't do it more often. And also a lot of people then feel ki, Arey, I didn't have the beer last week at all, so this week then I can do पिछले हफ्ते का 2 pint and इस हफ्ते का 2 pint and I can make it 4 pints this week. No, sorry, it doesn't work like that. So you have to stick to only 1 to 2 pints, which happens at one time maximum and once a week. If you have not taken any kind of beer or anything last week, that's completely fine. You're not going to make up for it this week. So we need to get that thing clear, because as I said, the beer belly is all about drinking too often, drinking too much, and drinking the wrong kind of beer. Now, when I say this, 1 to 2 pints once a week, it's very easy to say, and I understand that, I accept that, but very difficult for a person to get into that discipline of only drinking it, once a week. For people who don't drink, of course, it's a smooth sail. But for people who drink and probably, who are used to drinking little more often, for them, it's an exercise of discipline, which they need to, which they need to build up into their lives, because discipline is something that is going to take you far. And I want to introduce this word. This is actually a Sanskrit word, and it's Aarjavam. I hope you all can read this. It's a word, Sanskrit word, and it's a word which was, said by Krishna. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 13. So Krishna, while explaining the significance of having a tough mind, of having a mind that is resilient, gave this word to Arjuna, and he explained the meaning of this word, which is basically Aarjavam is when your thoughts, your speech and your action, they are in alignment. जिसका मतलब ये है कि when you are thinking something, you are saying the same words as you're thinking, and in your action also, you're doing what you were thinking and what you spoke about. So when you have this harmony in your thoughts, speech and action, Krishna says that you live a very peaceful life. You live a life which has a lot of clarity, which has a lot of integrity, and you live a life which is very, very happy and, very, very peaceful in the long run. So when we, if I want to bring this to this context, it's basically that, say you just had your drink on Saturday, because in your mind you decided ki, I'm going to drink only on Saturday because I'm on this 10 weeks of Yuktahar project and I am going to be answerable to Munmun. So I'm just going to drink on Saturday. Okay. So this is something that you thought in your mind. And then on Sunday, one of your friend comes and he tells you that, hey, come on, yeah, let's go for a drink and I just want to chill out and you're my friend, just come along. and then in your thoughts you had already decided that I'm going to drink only on Saturday, and your drinking day was already done yesterday, and this is Sunday and your friend has come, but in your words you're not able to give a clear no. In your words you say okay, let me think, okay, let me figure out. So you're not giving a very clear no according to what your thoughts are, and in action you then see that you're just walking with your friend towards the bar and you're actually drinking. So there's this complete misalignment between your thoughts, between your words, and between your action. And when you keep doing this time and time again, your mind registers that you are not a very mentally tough person. It is easy to manipulate you. The mind registers this, and the mind will do this again the next time. Some other situation, but your mind learns that it is easy to manipulate this guy. On the contrary, if you just, stay put on your thoughts, and in your words you give a clear no that, hey, I'm not drinking this Sunday, I'm not doing it this weekend. And in your action, you just don't drink. Maybe you walk with him to the bar, but you don't drink. So then your thoughts, speech and action are in complete alignment. And when you do this more often, your mind gets trained that this guy is in control, this guy is the boss, and I cannot be bossing around. And then with more experiences in life, you figure out, your mind figures out that, this is going to be tough with him because he's tough or she's tough. And slowly you see that you have more authority over what you do, over your thoughts, and therefore your life becomes more sorted, you are more clear, it's more disciplined. Otherwise we find discipline so tough. So it's more disciplined, and there's a certain sense of peace. There's not a constant tug of war happening between your mind and yourself and your complete faculties. So this is a very, very important concept, and I feel personally that whenever we have to put these things into action, a lot of scriptures give a lot of emphasis on control over our tongue, the taste, the sensory, because it's a sensory thing. And Krishna has also said in the Gita that the wisest of man can slip because of the senses, because of that sense of taste. We decide something, oh, I'm on diet, I don't want to have sugar, but then we slip watching a donut or looking at a piece of cake, and we forget the resolution we made. So that kind of a thing does happen, and it is not very easy, but with practice, with constant alertness in the mind, with constantly telling yourself that I am going to follow this principle of Aarjavam, and I am going to make sure that my thought, speech and action is in alignment. With practice, it does fall into place. So with this, I'll end the topic today, and I will request that whoever is planning to take a drink or two in phase 2, please do it with a lot of sense of balance, with a lot of sense of clarity, and with a lot of sense of discipline. Questions?
If we are unable to take Daruhal and Trikatu during breakfast any day, can we take it during lunch?
Yes, you can. Again, but I'm assuming that your lunch is not 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Like the TBBD timing of lunch is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. So if that is the timing that you are maintaining, then yes.
If I have stomachache, then also I can put ghee in khichdi?
Yes. I mean, khichdi ghee is anyways anti-inflammatory. It's something that soothes the lining of the gut. It is healing in nature. So I don't know why the stomach upset is there. If it's a diarrhea, it's a period cramp, you haven't mentioned that, but whatsoever the case is, ghee is something which is very, very healing. Yeah.
How to do intermittent fasting? It works?
So I'm sure that you haven't read my book, because I have dedicated an entire chapter to explain why we shouldn't be intermittent fasting. We don't need to intermittent fast. What we need to do is a circadian rhythm diet, which is about eating with the movements of the sun, depending on how bright the sun is. So if the sun is not very bright between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is the breakfast time, so you eat light. The sun is very bright at its best during the noon, so you have a hearty, wholesome lunch. And then evening again, the sun is again, not very bright. So again, you eat lighter, like a light dinner. So it's about just, eating with the sun. You don't have to go on intermittent fasting. And for all the details as to why people say this, but why you're saying this, all of that, get this book because it has all the details on that. Yeah, last question.
What tea should I have according to TBVD to set my belly right?
Tea. So there's so many. If you're asking about the chai patti wala tea, so you can just have the black tea or green tea or whatever tea you like. But if you're asking me about specific teas, like the recipes which I use, these are herbal teas. I call them herbal tea, but actually there is no chai patti in it. These are made with spices and herbs, which are very easily available in Indian kitchen. For that, you will have to buy the book, unfortunately, because in the book in chapter 10, there's a whole section I have dedicated to recipes, and in that recipe section, there are so many herbal tea recipes, and there are recipes according to seasons as well. So you have a summer tea, you have a monsoon tea, you have winter tea, you have tea recipe if you're not getting sleep, you have a tea recipe if you're having sinus. If you have a tea recipe, if you are feeling very too much heat inside your body, it's summers and there's too much heat you're feeling and probably a pimple has popped up. So for all those reasons, you got to refer to this recipe section. Okay, so Kirandeep was asking this. Okay, so Kirandeep, I see you texting, but I'm sure you have the book, so yeah, go through the book. It's in chapter 10 and you will find it. Okay, so very important announcement I'll make before I wind up is that tomorrow we are finishing week 3 of 10 weeks. So tomorrow I'll be uploading the progress form again. So it will be uploaded at 6 p.m. Thursday, tomorrow, Indian Standard Time, 6 p.m. IST. And participants, please buck yourself up and please fill up the form again. So this is the week 3 progress form, and Friday we are going to step on week 4. So again we are going to put this progress form and wait for you to fill it up and send it back to us so that I can read them, surf through them. And again we are going to do the same exercise where people are my team is going to reach out to you, and my team is going to reach out to you for basically anything and everything. So the form is going to give us that direction, and on Saturday we are going to again join for our Saturday evening chat with all you lovely people. So we are going to do this process all over again. So just a reminder that tomorrow the form will be there, so fill it up, because once we have the forms, only then we reach out to you, and only then we will be able to call you, invite you to join me live on the Saturday evening chat. So look out for the form tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. IST. Thank you.